This week we are celebrating the big idea of dads, and it is Father's Day in June. But since we won't be meeting then, we're celebrating now. And today's reading, I'd like for you guys to really pay attention to things that are looking across the discipline. You know, we know our dads as somebody that stands with us every single day. But have you ever pondered the idea of animals in nature? And what do those daddies do? Most of the time when we think about animals in nature, we just think about the mommies. The mommies laying the eggs, the mommies taking care of the babies. But what about those daddies? Let's read. Our book today is Mr. Seahorse by Carle. Mr. and Mrs. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea. Mrs. Seahorse began to wiggle and twist this way and that. "It's time for me to lay my eggs," she said. "Can I help?" asked Mr. Seahorse. "Oh, yes, thank you," said Mrs. Seahorse, and she laid her eggs into a pouch on Mr. Seahorse's belly. "I'll take good care of our eggs," said Mr. Seahorse. "I promise." As Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea, he passed right by a group of trumpetfish hidden in a patch of reeds. Can you see them? There they are. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. "How are you, Mr. Stickleback?" asked Mr. Seahorse. "Delighted," said Mr. Stickleback. "I just built a nest, and right away Mrs. Stickleback laid her eggs into it. Now I'm taking good care of them until they hatch." "Keep up the good work," said Mr. Seahorse, and he swam away on his own. As Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea, he passed right by a lionfish hidden behind a coral reef. You see the detail? Let's see. There he is. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. "How are you, Mr. Tilapia?" asked Mr. Seahorse. Mr. Tilapia couldn't answer. His mouth was full of eggs. I know," said Mr. Seahorse. "Mrs. Tilapia laid her eggs, and now you are taking good care of them until they hatch." Mr. Tilapia nodded his head. "You must be very happy," said Mr. Seahorse, and he swam away on his own. As Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea, he passed right by a pair of leaf fish hidden among the seaweed. Do you see the detail? Let's see. There they are. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. "How are you, Mr. Curtis?" asked Mr. Seahorse. Perfectly fine," replied Mr. Curtis. "Mrs. Curtis has laid her eggs, and I have stuck them on my head. Now I'm taking good care of them until they hatch." "You are doing a good job," said Mr. Seahorse, and swam away. As Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea, he passed right by a stonefish hidden behind a rock. Can you see the detail? Let's see. There he is. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. "How are you, Mr. Pipe?" asked Mr. Seahorse. "Couldn't be better," replied Mr. Pipe. "Mrs. Pipe laid her eggs along my belly, and now I'm taking good care of them until they hatch. You should feel proud of yourself," said Mr. Seahorse, and he swam away. Do you see a change over time with Mr. Seahorse? But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. "How are you, Mr. Bullhead?" asked Mr. Seahorse. "Tip-top," replied Mr. Bullhead. "Mrs. Bullhead laid her eggs, and the eggs hatched, and now I'm babysitting." "You're doing a fine job," said Mr. Seahorse, and he swam away. The time had come for the Seahorse babies to be born. Mr. Seahorse wiggled and twisted this way and that, and at last the babies tumbled from Mr. Seahorse's pouch and swam away. One baby turned around and tried to come back into the pouch. "Oh no," said Mr. Seahorse, "I do love you, but now you are ready to be on your own." The end. Scholars, I hope you enjoyed this book, and I hope you also noticed that daddies also play an important role in our day-to-day lives. Have a great weekend. Take care of your mommies on Mother's Day, and I love you each, and take care of those daddies. Love you. Bye.